Alright, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Arctic Pauper Show. This week I'm going to be bringing you Mono Green Infect. So for those of you who might love playing Infect in Modern, sweet. For those of you who hate it, I'm sorry. But, has to be done. So, this is another roguish type deck because when Invigorate got banned, rightfully so, this deck basically fell to the wayside and everybody would switch to Mono Green Stompy. The reason why Invigorate was too powerful was because not only was it a free +4/+4, which is just absurd, but it also allowed for way more consistent turn 3 and way too consistent turn 2 wins off of turn 1 Glistener Elf, or even with Lotus Petal off of turn 1 Blight Mamba or Claw Mirror. That being said, though, this deck is still powerful. This is basically a deck list that I took the basic idea from Deluxikov, and I, kind of put my own spin on it. And we're gonna run it through League and see if this deck still has still has the tools to be able to contend. So first up, you only have 12 creatures instead of the usual 15 you would have with like Rotwolf or something. You have Glistener Elf, you have Claw Mirror, and you have Blight Mamba. Pretty much the only and at the same time the best options you have. Um, the reason why I'm only going with 12 creatures is because I wanted to make room for Gitaxian Probe. I think not only being able to cantrip, but being able to know how to play around your opponent's hand is actually very vital to this deck. And if you notice, there aren't any Lotus Petals. That's for two reasons. One, first, the little, pansy reason. They're too expensive and I don't feel like buying them. The second reason is I am determined to see if this deck is good without them. Because adding more lands to this deck is not good. The more dead cards that this deck draws, the worse off it's going to be, because you don't have things like Become Immense, or you don't have good access to blue. So I want to see if maybe instead of playing with less Lotus Petals, maybe the deck doesn't actually need them, and you could play just more usable spells. That's the reason I'm playing Attack Probe, of course. Then, of course, you have Apostle's Blessing. It's just your best 1-mana protection card. Could also be basically creatures unblockable until end of turn kind of deal. And then you have all your basic pump spells that you would think of. You have Mutagenic Growth because it's free. Basically, you have Groundswell because it's +4/+4 usually. You have Rancor because it's Rancor. You have Vines of Vastwood because it's Vines of Vastwood. Then you have Seal of Strength. Seal of Strength is basically just better than Giant Growth because you can just cast it and then just leave it there. You don't have to worry about it for the rest of the game. So basically, it's just saving you tons of mana. And then you have Predator Strike. You really need the Trample in this deck, so you're really going to need as many of these as possible. When the new card that was spoiled comes out, the +4/+4 and Trample, but is a sorcery, it might actually be better than Predator Strike because you don't really want to use Predator Strike defensively, you only want to use it offensively. So that will probably replace it. Another thing to note about Seal Strength is that yes, your opponent's season can play around it, but this deck is, doesn't usually care about your opponent playing around it. I mean, when you're playing Infect, people pretty much know it's like, oh, you're just gonna have a bunch of bomb spells and kill me. So being able to play around Seal Strength doesn't really make a difference. So that's the main deck, because it's basically as stock as you're going to get. Onto the sideboard, it's pretty basic as well. You have 4 Gut Shot just to deal with, Spellstutter Sprite, or mainly Standard Bearer is basically why it's there. You have Nature's Claim just in case. You have Rotwolf, just in creature matchups because it's card draw and it's an extra creature. And you have Young Wolf against Edict effects. Now, you may be saying, Arctic, why are you playing Nature's Claim? I mean, they gain 4 life. Well, that's the thing about Infect, for maybe those of you who've never played with it. Infect doesn't actually care about life because Infect isn't life. Infect is just dealing poison counters. So this becomes just the absolute, just best naturalized that there's ever been in this deck. There's a chance that I should be playing a 5th Young Wolf type effect, but I don't really, considering the fact that you only really need 1 creature to get through, and this is basically making them have 2 or sometimes even 3 Edict effects, shouldn't be that bad. So that's the deck. Pretty quick deck tech, I know. There was not much to say about it, but I'm going to run this through a league, and I hope that you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you soon for match number 1.